Hey Exiles, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something absolutely insane.
Caralho, tu conhece a Paola? Que Paola? A Paola da tia voadora que senta na rola, que fuma um balão e fica rindo à toa, caralho de cachorro que gosta muito que fode com fode.
Muchas gracias, afición. Este para vosotros.
Can you see this damage? This isn't just another lightning build. This is Lightning Arrow Deadeye. And it's built to dominate every piece of content in Path of Exile 2. From instant boss kills to screen-wide clears, this build feels unstoppable. Every arrow releases a chain of lightning destruction. Entire packs disappear before you even stop moving. And it's not just for maps. This setup can handle every endgame boss, even the hardest Pinnacle encounters, smoothly and confidently. You've got massive critical damage, Tailwind speed, and enough survivability to tank mechanics most builds would die to. The gameplay feels fast, fluid, and incredibly satisfying. One moment you're clearing maps like lightning, and the next you're deleting bosses in seconds. No clunky rotations, no complex setups, just pure power, precision, and speed, the way Deadeye was meant to be played. On top of that, we have more than 8,000 energy shields. So buckle up, Exiles, because this is the Lightning Arrow Deadeye, and it's not just strong, it's endgame ready. All right, now that you've seen what this build can do, let's break it down step by step so you can build it yourself. You'll find the full Maxroll planner linked in the description below so you can follow along, check the stats, and tweak it for your level or gear. In this video, we'll go through everything you need, the build mechanics, how it performs in mapping and boss fights, and of course, all the key setups that make the Lightning Arrow Deadeye so strong. So let's start with the most important part, the skills and gems. Our first skill here is the basic bow shot. And we only use it in special situations, like when we've drained our mana completely or get surrounded by enemies. Most of the time, you won't even need it. But when you do, it's a solid backup. We're supporting it with Stoicism 2 for 20% damage, Elemental Armament 2 for another 25% elemental damage boost, and Projectile Acceleration 3 to increase both projectile speed and damage, which is what gives that satisfying shotgun effect when multiple arrows hit. Then we add Nova projectiles, so the arrows fire out in a circular spread, which is perfect for clearing enemies if you get surrounded. And finally, Lightning Attunement adds another 25% lightning damage, rounding out the setup into a quick, high-damage safety skill that hits hard when you need it most. And now, for our main DPS skill, the one we all know and love, Lightning Arrow. This is the heart of the build, and to make it absolutely deadly, we're supporting it with Stoicism 2 again for extra damage, Projectile Acceleration 3 for projectile speed and damage, and Lightning Attunement, 25% more lightning damage. Next, we add Inevitable Critical to make sure our crit chance stays high, allowing us to fully benefit from all the critical damage scaling we've stacked in the build. Finally, we use Efficiency 2. This one is super important because our Lightning Arrow is level 30, and that really hits our mana hard with the gem's multipliers. But here's a little tip. If you're still low-level skill and don't have mana issues yet, you can replace Efficiency 2 with Elemental Armament 2 instead for even more DPS. At higher levels, though, Efficiency keeps the skill sustainable, so you can keep firing non-stop, never worry about running out of mana quickly. Next, we have Lightning Rod, our main bossing skill, which melts any single target. You'll mostly use it during boss fights, but it can also help in maps if your Lightning Arrow damage isn't quite high enough yet. You can even drop it before entering a crowded area or starting a breach. It clears the initial pressure beautifully and lets you control the fight from a safe distance. We're supporting it with the same first 3 gems we've been using: Stoicism 2, Projectile Acceleration 3, and Lightning Attunement. Then we add Lightning Penetration, which gives a huge push against enemy resistances, absolutely essential for boss fights. And finally, Rakiata's Flow, to completely shred the boss's lightning resistance, making sure every strike from your lightning damage hits like pure thunder. Next, we have Elemental Weakness, another really strong curse that we apply to the boss right before the fight. This gives the enemy an additional elemental resistance reduction, lowering their resistance by up to negative 61%, which massively boosts our lightning damage. To make it even stronger, we link it with Heightened Curse, increasing the magnitude of the curse and making that resistance drop hit even harder. Then we add Cursed Ground, so the curse stays active as long as the boss is standing in the area, super useful for longer fights. Next, we socket Lightning Mastery to enhance our elemental scaling, and Magnified Area to increase the curse radius, giving us more coverage. Finally, we include Prolonged Duration so the curse lasts longer, letting us focus entirely on dealing damage instead of recasting it every few seconds. Next up, we have Herald of Thunder, a classic we all know and love. It's one of our key spirit skills, and we're going to supercharge it to make it even deadlier. We start with Elemental Armament 2 for that consistent 25% elemental damage boost, followed by Lightning Attunement for another 25% lightning damage. Since Herald of Thunder often hits enemies far across the screen, we support it with Ambush, giving us 100% critical strike chance, and Longshot 2 for up to 35% increased attack damage the further the target is. Finally, we add Lightning Penetration to lower the enemy's lightning resistance, making sure every strike from Herald of Thunder hits like a storm. Next, we have our beautiful AoE damage skill, Herald of Ash. This one takes all your extra damage and turns it into massive fiery explosions, creating that satisfying wave of destruction across the screen. We'll support it with Fire Mastery because, why not? More fire, more fun. Then we add Magnified Area 1 for a 35% increase in area of effect, so those explosions reach even further. But careful here, don't use Magnified Area 2, since that one actually reduces your damage. And finally, we link Clarity 1 to help with mana regeneration, giving you that extra sustain during long fights or heavy skill spam. Next, we have Tornado Shot, which acts as a supporting boss skill for both Lightning Rod and Lightning Arrow. Together, they create that insane burst damage that melts bosses in seconds. We'll talk about the rotation soon, but for now, let's go over the gem setup. We're supporting Tornado Shot with Projectile Acceleration for extra projectile speed and damage, followed by Overabundance 2 to increase the limit by +1, letting us double the effect and cover more area during fights. Next, we use Durability to make the created projectiles hit +2 times, which adds a ton of extra impact to your bursts. Then, we add Prolonged Duration 2 to extend how long those projectiles stay active, giving you more uptime on that burst window. And finally, Efficiency 2 again, because Tornado Shot drains mana fast, and the last thing you want is to be out of mana right before a boss fight. And finally, we have Convalescence, our last spirit skill. And this one acts like a flask for our energy shield. It's a massive layer of survivability, especially with our 8,000 plus energy shield pool. Whenever you feel in danger, just activate it, and it will instantly start refilling your energy shield. The best part? It can't be interrupted, so once it's active, you're safe to recover even in the middle of chaos. But keep in mind, you only get 2 uses before the big cooldown kicks in, so be smart. Use it when you actually need that emergency recovery. Most of the time, your energy shield will regenerate naturally, so save Convalescence for those clutch moments when things get messy. We're supporting it with Second Wind 3 to give us 2 activations before the cooldown, then Cooldown Recovery 2 to reduce that cooldown, and finally, Prolonged Duration for a longer recovery effect. And that wraps up all of our skills and spirit setups, everything that makes this build come alive. Now, let's move on to the gear section, where we'll break down what items, stats, and choices really push this build to its full potential. If you're enjoying the content so far and want to see more builds like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep creating more Path of Exile 2 videos and share more crazy builds like this one with you. Now, let's talk about the gear, because this setup is where the build really comes to life. Starting with the weapon, I'm using Widow Hail, and it's an absolute beast for this build. It lets us gain the maximum benefit from our quiver, which we've already boosted sky high through the passive tree. This combo sends our DPS through the roof, so make sure to grab the highest possible increased bonuses from equipped quiver roll you can afford. You'll also want to socket 2 additional arrow gems to make your clear speed and coverage even crazier. Moving to the quiver, look for attack speed +2 to level of projectile skills, critical damage, flat lightning damage. Then fill the remaining affixes with any useful attributes you can afford. For the helmet and body armor, go all in on energy shield, especially raw maximum energy shield, since that's the value we multiply the most. Stack as much as you can, then cap your resistances with the remaining slots. And if you feel comfortable, add some item rarity as a bonus. On the boots, aim for at least 30% movement speed, then grab the highest energy shield you can find, fill in your resistances, and again, add item rarity if you can spare the stats. For the belt, I recommend a heavy belt. It's fantastic for mapping and adds a fun burst of power. If your DPS still feels a bit low, consider swapping to a utility belt for tougher encounters. Generally, the heavy belt is perfect for maps and map bosses, especially since you'll already have modifiers active. But when heading into direct Pinnacle fights, switch to the utility belt for that extra push if needed. For gloves, we're using Hand of Wisdom and Action, which gives 1 to 12 lightning damage and attack speed, perfectly matching our attribute scaling. For the rings, go for attributes, base damage, and lightning damage. You can also push item rarity here if you want. It scales even higher thanks to the belt. For the amulet, I'm using Astramentus for its crazy attribute bonuses, which boost our overall DPS to the sky. But if you can't afford it, don't worry. A rare amulet with high attributes and energy shield will still make you nearly unkillable. And finally, make sure to allocate pure power. It scales incredibly well with the intelligence we're stacking and gives us a huge boost to lightning damage, a perfect final touch to maximize our overall damage. For flasks, the ultimate mana flask is extremely helpful for sustain. Health doesn't really matter here since we rely on energy shield. And for charms, go for Fall of the Axe and Rite of Passage if you can afford them. Both are amazing choices. If not, regular magic charms are totally fine. Just make sure Charms provides freeze immunity so you don't get stuck mid-fight. And that's it for the gear. A clean, powerful mix of uniques, rares, and smart modifiers that turn this lightning arrow, Deadeye, into a true storm of destruction. Now, let's move on to the Ascendancy points. And don't worry, everything is already included in the Maxroll link down in the description. I always try to make your life easier. We'll go the standard Deadeye route this time. Start with Gathering Winds to gain that Tailwind buff we all know and love, giving us extra skill speed, movement speed, and overall smoother gameplay. Next, we push our defenses by taking Wind Ward, which gives over 30% damage reduction at max stacks, making this build not only fast but also surprisingly tanky. After that, take Far Shot to increase your projectile damage the further away you are, and then Endless Munitions for +1 additional projectile. Combined with the +2 arrows from our bow, that means we're firing 3 arrows per shot. And when those start to chain, the clear speed becomes absolutely insane. And that's it for the Ascendancy setup. Short, simple, and extremely effective. Now that we've finished the Ascendancy points, let's move on to the passive tree. I'll quickly give you a full look at the entire tree so you can see the overall structure. Then, we'll go through the most important nodes in order, so you'll know exactly which path to take and why. There's also a small variation depending on your budget, especially when it comes to jewel choices, so I'll explain the switch you can make there as well. Alright, let's go through the passive tree step by step, and I'll highlight the most important nodes along the way. We start with Honed Instincts, a solid early node that gives both attack speed and projectile speed. Great for smooth leveling and early clearing. Next, move into Master Fletching to push our quiver stats, which will be boosted even further by the Widow Hail Bow. From there, take Wrapped Quiver for another strong boost to quiver bonuses. Then grab Falcon Technique, another amazing node that lets us scale attack speed directly through dexterity. Perfect synergy with this build. After that, take Pierce the Heart to let your arrows pierce additional targets, and pick up Feathered Fletching, which turns your projectile speed into additional damage. so any projectile speed you have on gear now also increases your damage. Then grab Sniper, giving even more critical strike chance the farther your arrows travel. Perfect for long-range bursts. From there, take Acceleration for even more attack speed and movement speed, keeping the build fast and fluid. Next, grab Falcon Dive, which converts all that accuracy rating from dexterity directly into attack speed. Again, perfect synergy for our scaling. Move into Tainted Strike, which adds critical strike chance and shock magnitude with crit hits, letting us hit harder and shock more reliably. Continue through the Attribute Star, and make sure to pick up all the jewel sockets along the way. They'll be extremely important later for our jewel setup. After that, move into Heart-Stopping, Heartbreaking, and Struck Through. This trio gives a strong mix of crit chance and critical damage. Going upward, grab Wildstorm to push our lightning damage scaling even further. Now, if your budget allows, you can buy a controlled Metamorphosis Diamond. Aim for one with very low negative resistances. If it's too expensive, or the penalty hits your resist too hard, skip it for now and path toward True Strike and the Juggler instead. But if you're rich enough, grab both and then pick up Conservative Casting, which helps reduce mana pressure, especially during long boss fights with high-level skills. Next, take Kite Runner for more movement speed, projectile speed, and damage, and if you still have points, then pick up Finesse to boost your accuracy sky high. Since our accuracy scales with intelligence, which we've already stacked heavily, this loops back beautifully into more attack speed. Everything feeding into everything else. Also, take Chakra of Thought. It gives mana as a defensive layer and adds attack speed when you're low on mana, which feels amazing in longer fights. And finally, go all the way up to Patient Barrier. This node is huge for your energy shield. It alone adds around 2,000 energy shield, so it's an absolute must-have for survivability. That's my full setup at around level 93. For the next few levels, I'd recommend going for Coming Calamity. Since we're running 2 Heralds, it gives a big DPS boost, and while you're traveling between major nodes, try to keep them roughly balanced. And now, the most important part, let's talk about the jewels. We already talked about the controlled Metamorphosis Diamond and how to handle it if you can't afford one. The next great option that helps a lot is the Adorned Diamond. If you can afford one with a good percentage bonus, I'd say anything above 80%, then it's definitely worth picking up. Remember, since GGG removed a lot of jewel sockets from the passive tree, having a strong Adorned really pays off. But if it's below 80%, then honestly, you'll probably get more benefit from rare jewels and the socket itself instead. Now, if you do manage to get a good Adorned, that's where you can really boost your stats. Look for Energy Shield, Critical Strike Chance, and Critical Strike Damage. Those are your top priorities. It's also a great opportunity to stack resistances, so aim for a mix of maximum Energy Shield, crit chance, and crit damage across your jewels. But if you can't get an Adorned yet, no worries. Go for rare jewels with Energy Shield, crit stats, lightning damage, attack speed, or any strong modifiers you can find. Even good rares will make a big difference for this build. All right, Exiles, now let's talk about the part that really matters, how this build actually plays. Starting with mapping, it's just crazy smooth. The moment you step into a map, you instantly feel the speed and control this build gives you. Thanks to Tailwind, Lightning Arrow, and all the projectile scaling, everything just flows together perfectly. You'll be flying through packs, firing arrows, chaining explosions, and watching the entire screen disappear in seconds. There are no combos or complicated rotations you need to worry about here. Just fire Lightning Arrow, keep moving, and if things get intense, simply activate Convalescence to refill your 8,000 plus energy shield instantly. You can take hits and still keep going. It's fast, forgiving, and incredibly satisfying to play. Overall, for mapping, this build is all about momentum, power, and non-stop action. Pure lightning destruction wherever you go. All right, now let's talk about bosses. And here's the best part. No gem swaps, no skill switches, nothing complicated. Everything you need is already built right in. Before the fight starts, open with Elemental Weakness to reduce the boss's resistances. Then, fire a single tornado shot. It'll place 2 tornadoes right around the boss. After that, drop a few lightning rods, and as soon as the fight begins, switch straight to lightning arrow and just watch the boss start dancing in place. Behind the scenes, here's what's actually happening. Your lightning arrow projectiles are hitting the tornadoes, and those tornadoes are copying the projectiles and spitting out duplicates toward the boss. Those duplicated arrows then trigger the lightning rods, starting a chain reaction loop of lightning damage bouncing between everything. Meanwhile, the boss is completely confused, trapped in this storm of lightning, and eventually just gives up and goes to sleep.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Simple setup, zero effort, and absolute destruction. And that's it, Exiles. The full breakdown of the Lightning Arrow Deadeye build. It's fast, smooth, and powerful. Everything you'd want in a build that can crush maps, melt bosses, and still feel amazing to play. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It really helps me keep creating more builds like this one. You'll find the full Maxroll build link down in the description, along with a link to our Discord server. So come hang out, share your own builds, and join the growing community of Exiles. Try it out, tweak it your way, and let me know in the comments how it performs for you. I love reading your feedback and seeing your crazy ideas. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
Get fucking wrecked.